Hey, family. Welcome to Put Your Dukes Up Reactions. Simply translate to you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. With that one being said, we got a wild one here for you. Uh, young soldier, you understand, changed his life and his fiance life. Real serious beef here. I'm gonna let you see it. Let's get into it.
Where we have just learned the woman killed this weekend at Baptist Health Medical Center had just delivered a baby. The Jefferson County coroner says 24-year-old Precious Johnson was shot multiple times, and that 19-year-old Kenneth Terry Jr. then shot himself.
Mother was shot and killed by her husband, who then took his own life. It all happened in Brookwood Hospital less than 24 hours ago.
Imagine being young and marrying the first relationship you ever had. For some people, that's a beautiful thing. For others, it could turn into something they'll later regret. But imagine not only that, imagine feeling like you were taken advantage of in the process. Imagine being excited about having a baby on the way, only to reach a point where you start telling your family and friends not to even show up. Because deep down, you feel like that baby might not even be yours. Fast forward to March 1st, 2026. Imagine sitting in that hospital, watching that baby come into this world and having a mental breakdown in real time because that baby doesn't even resemble you. For one young father, that moment would end in a tragedy. Marriage, a baby, allegations of infidelity, questions of loyalty, and all of this happening while he's still technically a teenager, a 19-year-old who just enlisted into the military. And the most will ask, how did it get to this point? And did he know for sure that wasn't his baby? Most mothers will tell you, his mama babies, daddy's maybes. So in this video, we're gonna go over the timeline of this relationship, at least was public. Hear from people close to the situation, an aunt who spoke up on behalf of the suspect via social media, a roommate of the suspect who said he was there, witnessing this relationship from a third eye view the entire time. Not to mention the suspect's mother, who described her son and basically didn't even know, according to her son could be this violent. Today we pay our respects to not only him, but most importantly, the victim, the mother of this young child, and see where we stand today. But before we go over this one, I want you guys to remember, I won't give you no angle, I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll jump right to it. Born 9/11, 2001 was Precious Alicia Janae Johnson. Now 24 years old, Precious was a devoted daughter, also a woman of faith who loved to worship Jesus and was excited to become a new mother. Her family members remember her as someone who always sought the best in life, someone who looked forward to a future full of joy and promise. She recently had married a 19-year-old man who was identified as Kenneth Williams Terry Jr. Terry had just completed Army National Guard training and worked tirelessly as a diesel mechanic, even taking on additional work as a barber. He was a young man who had a bright future, and with so much potential the way his life ended, no one in his family could have predicted or prepared for. But a devastating tragedy had unfolded. Precious was expecting her first baby, or what Terry Jr. had initially thought was his. But at some point, he had doubts because his mother had repeated that Terry didn't want anyone in attendance when Precious was having a baby. But shortly after 9:30 p.m. on March 1st, 2026, Aaliyah was born. And minutes later, her parents was gone. A shooting occurred, a place where new mother should have been surrounded by safety, comfort, and care. Instead, the violence that took place left the hospital and the family of Precious Johnson and Terry Jr. shattered. What should have been one of the happiest moments of her life, the birth of her daughter, quickly turned into a nightmare. Precious was killed, her dreams and the hopes of a bright future of her newborn daughter suddenly taken away. Moments later, Kenneth Jr. ended his life also, adding to the deep sorrow of the family.
Devastated after a new mother was shot and killed by her husband, who then took his own life. It all happened in Brookwood Hospital less than 24 hours ago. A Jefferson County coroner's report says Precious Johnson was shot multiple times. Authorities say she was a patient in the hospital. Family members say the 24-year-old had just had a baby with her husband, 19-year-old Kenneth Terry Jr. According to the coroner, Terry died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Homewood police think the hospital shooting was a domestic-related murder-suicide. WVTM 13's Lisa Crane joins us live and local from Brookwood Hospital. Elisa, you spoke with family members in the Alabama Hospital Association today. What have you learned?
Well, I did speak with Kenneth Terry's mother today. As you can imagine, she is devastated. She did not want to speak on camera, but she told me she just can't understand what happened. She said this young couple was having some marital problems, and Precious Johnson did not want Terry's family at the hospital when she delivered the baby, but she still can't comprehend that her son could be violent. 19-year-old Kenneth Terry had a lot going on in his life. His mother tells me he had finished Army National Guard boot camp, had married 24-year-old Precious Johnson, and they were expecting a baby. But Sunday night, after Johnson delivered her baby, authorities say Terry shot her several times and then turned the gun on himself.
I think it's a sad, but this was an isolated incident. And I will say, in my 30 years of working at the Hospital Association and representing our hospitals in the state, this is the first time something has occurred like this.
Because of this tragic incident, Howard says we could see changes to security protocol at hospitals like Baptist Health Brookwood. I wanted to get an idea of the security there. Less than a day after the shootings, I walked through the labor and delivery unit unchecked.
Hospitals always do after action reports and look at what are the lessons learned, what worked well, what might need to be refined. And in doing that, it's not uncommon for the Hospital Association to pull together all of our hospitals to share information and best practices and what worked and what didn't work and what might need to be revisited.
Now, I reached out to leaders here at the hospital. They did not want to speak on camera or address specific questions about security. Howard says there are no security mandates in Alabama for hospitals here, but she says, of course, that could change, and there will be a lot to learn from this incident. Live in Homewood, Lisa Crane, WVTM 13.
Lisa, thanks. Homewood Mayor Jennifer Andrus is reacting to what she says is an active investigation, saying police acted quickly to secure the scene and ensure there was no ongoing threat to the public. She says her thoughts are with the victim, her family, hospital staff, and everyone affected. Andrus says the city is working closely with hospital leadership and will provide updates as appropriate.
Now, at that point, people wanted to know why, and people close to Junior had spoke up. First, his mom had said to follow her. Terry's mom said she was devastated. She had no idea her son could become violent. She said, as we mentioned, he had just finished Army National Guard training, Mary Johnson, and they were expecting a baby. It was due on Sunday, but on Friday and Saturday, he insisted that the family didn't show up to the hospital, and they respected his wishes. And then Terry's aunt, at least one of them, allegedly went to Facebook and said to follow her. She took a laugh from my nephew, drained his bank account. When he got his money from the Army, they married, so he felt betrayed. She also wrote, for one, he wasn't dealing with no mental health, period. I talked to my nephew every day. He was financially stable because he worked 50 plus hours, cut hair. He was ready to be a father, was excited about it, and that got took from him. My sister and brother did a great job with him. He graduated, went to the Army, was a diesel mechanic, etc. He even sent me money when I needed it. Big Daddy would give you anything. Granted, a lot of people was taking advantage of him. He loved the girl, even married her. But we all been there. Now, for those wondering, that was his nickname since birth, Big Daddy. So at least at this point, that clears that up, that they were expecting the baby, and he did assume it was his. But then a roommate, who we have to blur out, has spoke up on his behalf as well. They said people keep making excuses for this woman. She cheated on him while we were in AIT and basic and kept stealing his money for over a year. I was his roommate at AIT, and every day she would call him asking for money and yelling at him over nothing. Sometimes she would just take the money. Even through it all, he would still say that he loved her. He would still buy her anything she wanted. He would still choose to be on the phone with her because that's all he could do at the time, to talk to her. I'm not saying what he did was right, but at the same time, y'all forgiving her for stealing his money, cheating on him, and potentially having another man's baby and putting him under the impression that it was his. But y'all aren't forgiving him for feeling the same way he felt and reacting how he felt he needed to. Both sides were wrong. I think instead of pointing fingers, we need to just pray for both families and offer whatever help we can. People tend to forget these two individuals were someone's son/daughter. I don't know much about the wife personally, but I do know that Terry was not a bad person. He was kind and funny and often helped others whatever way he could. If y'all knew him the way I did, none of y'all would be making these nasty comments and assuming all this stuff about him. He also responded to another comment saying, I'm not 100% sure on all your questions, but I do know that she mailed him marriage papers to sign at AIT roughly a year ago. March to May of last year. He and our other roommate have asked him not to do it multiple times, but he did it anyway. I'm not sure when the baby thing came to be true, but from what I remember, she was telling him she was pregnant since around the same time frame. So fam, first of all, that's a person who stood up for his friend post-demise. And if what he's saying is true, which he's been respectful about, a lot of this was planned, man. That young man was used, allegedly forced to sign marriage papers, forced to assume he had a baby on the way with someone 5 years older who, let's be real, they say women mature faster than men on top of having a 5-year age difference. That's a lot of experience. And this man reacted in a way she didn't know or think he would. And that's where we stand today. But fam, there you have it. This was the story of a young man who, according to people close to him, was pressured into a marriage while still in training. A roommate even coming forward saying they tried to convince him not to sign those papers. Around that same time, he was told he had a baby on the way, and believing that child was his, he reportedly started sending money and putting everything he had into what he thought was his future family, telling his own family that he was about to become a father, only to later find out that the baby may not even be his. And despite learning this information, it appears he still waited until that child was actually born. Whether he fully realized it before that moment or in the hospital that day, we may never truly know. But what we do know is that the situation ended in a tragedy that cost 2 people their lives and left a newborn child growing up without either parent. Let me know.
Wow. I send my love and condolences to the family. You know, love will make you do some strange things. It'll make you holler for the dollar, do strange things for the change. And you thinking you got a little one on the way? I'm a father. I understand it. I know. And it'll break you. And being that young and probably being taught the things he was taught in the army made him a little bit violent. Who knows? I'm not a psychiatrist, just my own little opinion. But it's most definitely a heartfelt story. And again, I send my condolences out to the family. And, you know, each one teach one. I need you to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, family, let's get it.